welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Kangaroo Black, coming back once again to talk about the greatest college football program in all the land, my Alabama Crimson Tide, and former Alabama quarterback Greg McElroy. I talked about Greg McElroy yesterday or on my last video, and I'm talking about him once again today. He was on the Kubelik in the Morning show. I think it was Tuesday, and then he was talking about Alabama and why he liked this 2023 Alabama Crimson Tide team better than he liked the 2022 version of Alabama. Okay, and he got some valid points. Okay, we know we had some dynamic playmakers on the 2022 team, like quarterback Bryce Young, running back Jahmyr Gibbs, edge rusher Will Anderson. Three great Alabama football players. But they gone now, so it is what it is. But anyway, he still wasn't convinced, even with those players, that Alabama could win the national championship last year. He said he was not convinced last year's Alabama team was well equipped along the line of scrimmage and in their passing attack, which we wasn't. Line of scrimmage was still a problem. Gave up 22 sacks last year, even though it was an improvement from 2021. All right, we didn't have that number one wide receiver, the wide receiver we could look to go to on third downs or in short yardage. We was using Jahmyr Gibbs out the backfield. So he wasn't convinced last year. And this is what he said. I really like this team. I was not as high on last year's team as I am on this year's team. Last year's team, while I thought they could get to the playoff, I thought they were without a truly dynamic number one wide receiver. I thought the interior of the defensive line was still of significant concern. I didn't think they had great game changers on the back end of the perimeter, and I thought the offensive line might still be a bit of an issue, which I just mentioned. The offensive line was still an issue. Gave up 22 sacks, okay? Probably could have been more than that if Bryce Young wasn't as mobile as he is and back there working his magic, okay? So he got a valid point with that. Like I say, we didn't have a number one wide receiver. Valid point, all right? The back end of the defense, we all know how that was, especially in the Tennessee game. Had miscommunications, misalignments, and not only in the Tennessee game. Okay, another valid point. I know our back end is young this year, but I think it just might be better than it have been in the past few years. All right, the defensive line of scrimmage, they wasn't getting as much pressure on quarterbacks as they should. All right, it was linebackers, well, really the edge rushers getting the pressure on the quarterback, Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. Another valid point about the defensive line. So all his points was valid. So, hey, but he liked this year's team. The past is in the past. 2022 team is in the past. We moving on, all right? But I can say for the back end of the defense, okay, I feel like they just wasn't put in the position to succeed in a Pete Golden defense or a Pete Golden scheme. I don't think they was put in a position to succeed. I don't think they was put in position to play their best football. That's just my opinion. And I'm talking about Pete Golden defense. We got Kevin Steele now, whole different story. All right. He went on to say, so last year, full disclosure, I thought they'd be good. I was not as bullish on them as I am right now on the 2023 team. I think this year's team, I really like. I like that Nick Saban has basically said, forget it. We're going back to the drawing board. We're going to do things the way we did things a very long time ago. So I think getting back to the ground and pound with Tommy Rees coming in is why I'm more bullish on this team. Exactly. Getting back to doing things the way we used to do it. Going back to the drawing board. Run the damn ball. And we've been calling for that shit ever since Lane Kiffin was there. Run the damn ball. All right? But as I got to say it, we had dynamic receivers ever since Lane Kiffin was there. Okay? From Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, Mike Loxley, all of those, we had dynamic receivers, dynamic quarterbacks. Fine, we was winning games. But our defense was lacking. Our offense was covering up the deficiencies on the Pete Golden defense. Plain and simple. We could outscore everybody. But we scoring 40 points or 40 points in a game, opponents scoring close to 30, or we scoring 50, opponents scoring in the 40s. Okay, Pete Golden defense, like I said. But Tommy Rees, there's a reason why Nick Saban hired Tommy Rees. I know people were skeptical. Alabama fans, other fans from other fan bases were skeptical, but I wasn't. But anyway, like I said, give Tommy Rees a chance. Hey, ground and pound. Run the damn ball. That was Alabama's pedigree. That was Alabama's way of winning games. Run the ball, play good defense. Okay? But once we got all these, pass-heavy coordinators or pass-first coordinators, we start drafting all these great wide receivers. We always had a go-to wide receiver. But Lane Kiffin and Mike Loxley and Steve, we had 2, 3, 4 go-to wide receivers. Anybody could get the ball. All right? That's the way, that's what we went to. All right? Just like we went from the ground and pound to airing the ball out, we can go from airing the ball out back to ground and pound. And that's what we are about to do in 2023. Nick Saban, there's a method to the madness, okay? Kevin Steele, he's going to have the defense ready. Even the young back end, and I'm going to tell you, teams, Texas, with their wide receiver core, they are going to challenge our young defensive backs. I'm going to tell you that now. But I think Kevin Steele going to have them guys ready to play. I always say you can't take much from a spring game. But in this spring game, they look good. Hopefully it'll translate over into the regular season. All right? You got the summer, you got the fall to polish things up and get better than what you were in the spring. All right? And I think our Alabama defense secondary will be better. But I agree with Greg McElroy on everything he said. He is bullish on this team. He liked this team. All right. You don't even have to. Well, we're talking about running the ball. The running back room is crazy talented. All 5 of them. Okay. So I have a lot of confidence in our running back room. The offensive line, all right, under Tommy Rees, we got to have that straight. And I got all the confidence in the world in Coach Wolford, all right? All the confidence in the world in that guy because he, at Kentucky anyway, has some great offensive lines. And there's a reason why he's recruiting all these big mammoth of men to go across that offensive line. Oh, yeah. And I almost forgot. Greg McElroy talked about the wide receiver core. Last year, we didn't have that number 1 dynamic wide receiver, that game-changing wide receiver. Well, this year, 2023, I think we got it, and that is Malik Benson. If he's all that people said he was going to be, he's going to be that wide receiver for us, okay? I'm not saying he's going to be a Jameson Williams or a Devontae Smith or any of those guys, even though he compared himself to those guys and he said he's a mixture of Devontae Smith and Jameson Williams and Henry Ruggs. We don't need him to be all that. We just need him to be there when we need him. Game-changing wide receiver. From what I hear, he got great hands. He got great speed. He got the route running. That's the type of wide receiver we need. But we got a host of wide receivers. Colbert Prentice, Isaiah Bond, Shaz Preston, Ja'Cory Brooks, Jermaine Burton. And I'm looking for Ja'Cory Brooks and Jermaine Burton to step up their game this season, okay? To be more in tune to what's going on, to have better numbers than what they did last season. So the wide receiver core, we are looking good at that position too. And don't let me forget about Kendrick Law. Kendrick Law is going to make big plays for Alabama this season. He just might put himself in position to be that number one wide receiver. Okay, but we got a great wide receiver room. Got all the confidence in them too. But anyway, Greg McElroy, I agree with every damn thing you said. You had valid points. You pointed out the deficiencies in last year's team and why you didn't like them, and why you like this year's team. And like I say, I agree with everything. So with that being said, roll damn tide.